Good evening, everyone. Before we get started today, I ask everyone please stand for the pledge, and Councilman Adams will lead us in prayer. All right, again, it's a pleasure having you all here tonight. We're going to go ahead and get started. Our first item on the agenda is to consider minutes of the October 17, 2023 workshop and October 17, 2023 regular session. Council, we had a chance to review these minutes. The floor is open for motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the October 17th workshop and the October 17th regular session meeting has been presented.
I second the motion.
A motion made by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Walker. Madam Secretary, call the vote, please.
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous. Go ahead and close that item on the agenda. Our next item is public comments. The City Council welcomes citizens' participation and comments at all council meetings. Citizens' comments are limited to 2 minutes out of the respect for everyone's time. The council is not permitted to respond to your comment. The Texas Open Meetings Act requires that topics of discussion, deliberation be posted on an agenda not less than 72 hours in advance of the council meeting. If your comments relate to a topic that is on the agenda, the council will discuss the topic on the agenda at the time that the topic is discussed and deliberated. At this time, if we have anyone that would like to speak, please come up, state your name, address, and phone number if you care for us to reach you. And again, you're limited to 2 minutes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Debbie Corbell, and I live within the city limits of Mount Pleasant. And I'm here to ask tonight that in the upcoming meetings, would the city management or leadership please give us an update on the vehicle lease agreement and where we're at on that, and what we've spent on it, what's going to happen when the lease expires, how this has been worked out, what our plans are. And if we have to purchase a new fleet of vehicles, are we prepared to do that? On January the 7th, 2020, the council approved a $4,000 a month payment to Bailey and Brook for website social media. For the 36 months, that should have been $144,000. They were paid $295,000. My question is, where was the contract for that service? And how did we end up paying $151,174 more than what was voted on by the council? And other than memos from the city manager saying more, shouldn't we have a policy where if the council votes to pay a contractor $4,000 a month, that if there are changes or some kind of a change order, or we decide to pay them double the contract, that the public should be made aware of it, and that issue should be brought before the council to either vote on or let public know what's going on and why we're at that point. And as I understand, Bailey and Brook are still on the payroll, and it would be great if we could check those checks and see what they're being paid now. However, even though the city has a transparency statement that says it believes in meaningful transparency leading to greater accountability, you do not list your check register on the website anymore. It's been missing for at least 36 months, 3 years. During the past 36 months in which we come up with the issue with Bailey and Brook, we come up with the travel issue with travel mileage. We come up with contractors receiving twice what they should have been voted on, a newspaper getting paid monthly checks, and more consultants and attorneys than we've ever had that I knew of in 35 years. And then when you go to look at the check register, it's no longer there. I would like to know why the check register is no longer listed especially for what's been going on the last 36 months, why that's not there and when it can get corrected. No one should have to do a freedom of information.
Ms. Debbie, you had 2 minutes left, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do we have anyone else at this time that would like to approach? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public comments at this time and move on to item 3 on the agenda. Item 3 is to discuss and consider resolution 2023-17, approval of tax roll and levy for tax year 2023. Ms. Lori?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item was submitted by Shirley Dickerson at the Appraisal District, and she requests that the council approve the resolution. It includes the tax rates that we adopted back in September, and then it includes the current tax roll at 1.6 million, a late ag penalty, which is just a penalty for applications submitted after April 30th, and then our tax levy. If y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Floor is open for discussion.
This is a normal procedure that she asks for each year, I believe, isn't it?
We could not find where she asked for it last year, but it is in compliance with the property tax code.
Okay, council, we have anything else? Okay, we'll close the discussion. Floor is open for a motion in consideration.
I'll make a motion that we, resolution 2023-17 on the approval of the tax roll and levy for the tax year 2023 has been presented and we requested.
Second.
A motion made by Councilman Dale, second by Councilwoman Sproul. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous. We'll now close that item on the agenda and move on to item 4. Item 4 is to consider casting the city's votes for the election of the Titus County Appraisal District Board. Ed,
Mayor and Council, you have before you the list of names of persons that are running for the board on the appraisal district, for the appraisal district. We have 508 votes that we can cast, either spread them out or for anyone. So just turn it over to you to discuss where you want those votes to go and then vote on it.
go ahead, Tim. you want to-
Those that the audience, the names of the candidates that are board now and they're being asked for to be served again is Mr. Buddy Blue, Mr. Mike Edwards, David Grider, Mr. Joe Lewis, Mr. Steve Martin, and Mr. Hewlin Mike Reynolds. If the council has no problem with those are the ones that serve on there. We have 508 votes. I would make a motion that we give 85 votes to the top 5, and just in order there for no particular reason. And then there'll be 83 votes for the other one, which would make the 508. That'd be 5 of the individuals with 85 votes, and then 1 of the other individuals with 83 votes.
All right, council, do we have any objections to this? Do we have a second on this motion?
I'll take that one.
All right, we have a motion made by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Adams. All in favor of this, say aye. Just give me a hand.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous. We'll go ahead and close that item on the agenda. All right, we'll go on to item 5. Item 5 is discussion and consider canceling the November 21st, 2023 City Council meeting. Mr. Thatcher.
Mayor and Council, our next council meeting is on the Tuesday on the week of Thanksgiving. And we just put it on there for your consideration. If you want to still have the meeting, many of us will still be here, but there's a lot of people taking off for Thanksgiving.
All right. Council, do we have any objections to it, any further discussion on it?
If we, between now and then, we could always, have a meeting anytime between now and then with the proper notice.
That's correct. We would look to have it on the 5th of December. I might point out that the next item is having you cancel an already published public hearing for that night for P and Z. P and Z meets, and we have to get those notices out. And this has come up before when we cancel a council meeting. I forget sometimes to talk to David, and he's got a public hearing scheduled that night. But if you guys vote to cancel that, he'll then reschedule it for early December. So,
We have any further discussion?
Just for clarity, David, does the parties that are involved in this meeting, do they know that, are they okay with us waiting till December to hear their zone, that public meetings, are they okay with it, the people involved directly? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I reached out to the applicants that are going to be associated with this, and this being a public hearing, informed him that there is a possibility that this meeting could be canceled, and they're okay with the December 5th meeting. They prefer the 21st, but they have no opposition to the moving this to the December 5th meeting.
Thank you, Dick. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Walker. All right, floor is open. We'll close the discussion. Floor is open for motion.
I move that we cancel the November 21st city council meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Mr. Walker, second by Mr. Adams. Recorded vote, Madam Secretary.
Aye.
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 Okay, with the unanimous vote, we'll go ahead and postpone that one and close item 5. Move on to item 6, which was the postponement of the public hearing for case number Z 2023-08.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, and Mr. Thatcher. Yeah, on this particular request, as just stated, the only thing that council's action would need to be is just to announce that the postponement of the meeting to December 5th and require a majority vote.
Thank you. Okay, floor is open for a motion on this item.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Adams, second by Councilwoman Sproul. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous. We'll go ahead and close that item on the agenda. Our next item, item 7, is to consider Resolution 2023-18 that denies an increase in revenue and a change in the rates proposed by CenterPoint Energy Resources Corporation, DBA, CenterPoint Energy Intex, and CenterPoint Energy Texas Gas. Authorizes continued participation in the alliance of CenterPoint municipalities representation of the city by special counsel intervention in proceedings related to CenterPoint's statement of intent and requires the reimbursement of municipal rate case expenses. Mr. Thatcher.
Mayor and council, this is a routine resolution. You've considered them before when public utility, the electric company or the gas company, used to be phone company, but not anymore. But when they file for a rate increase, CenterPoint is filed to the Railroad Commission for a rate increase to be approved. And so normally what we do, we bring this to you to deny it. And the cities that deny it, it throws it back to attorneys that we all hire, the same attorney. It's Alfred Herrera out of Austin. And they then negotiate with CenterPoint and the Railroad Commission and come up with a rate that everybody agrees upon. So the rates are going to go up. If we were to approve this, they would go up significantly higher, then they will, because it's always gonna be a negotiated fee, and they'll agree on something less than. So that's why this is a normal, routine thing, and we'll be coming back later with some kind of a settlement that they all agree with, and they'll put the rates in place. But they fight. It also talks about a reimbursement to the attorneys for their fees, and this is paid for by the utility company. It doesn't come out of the cities that pay for it. Every once in a while, there is a project they need to do in looking at these rates or whatever that's out of the scope of this, and it's not paid for by the utilities. When that happens, we come in, the city split it up, and usually they ask for 10 or 5,000 or 7,000. We bring that to you, so we would pay depending on the size of our city, and that's happened once or twice since I've been here. But most of the time, and this is the same kind. The utility would pay the rate for our attorneys on this one.
All right, council, we have any comments on this before I open the floor for a motion? All right, floor is open for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve this resolution 2023-18, which denies the increase in revenue and the rate changes that's proposed by CenterPoint Energy Resources Corporation that's been presented this evening.
I second the motion.
A motion made by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Walker. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Mayor and council, I might just say that since we got the information on this one and put this on, we were told that the SWEPCO's also asking for a rate increase, so we'll be getting that here before too long, a resolution on that one too.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thatcher. All right, that vote was unanimous. We'll go ahead and close that item on the agenda, and we'll now move on to item 8. Item 8 is to consider pay request from Wicked Construction for work on the Sports Complex Regional Lift Station.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, this is a pay request that's been submitted by Brian Capps on behalf of Wicked Construction in the amount of $444,589.93. This represents a billings to date for this total project is around 35%. This is mainly for the installation of a 8-inch force main and a 12-inch gravity sewer line under this past month's work. Current contract has approximately 65% of total remaining, and this is a 280-day project. To date, they have used approximately 23% of the time allocated for the contract. In addition to that, we have also included a change order number 1 for $19,320. Please note that it's termed a change order number 1. We wanted to have this documented, but this is actually going under bid item number 49 for contingency. It is allowing for the extension of steel encasement underneath a couple of driveways. That allows for the avoidance of conflict with some existing trees and dry utilities that were found to be closer to the alignment than originally noted. We found that to be acceptable and reasonable in both payment and scope. We have reviewed the pay request and found it correct and recommend payment accordingly.
Let me ask you on that payment, item number 49, so that comes out of the 165,000, is that correct, or?
Yes, sir. I believe that is correct. That's I don't have in front of me the actual number amount for bid item number 49, but I believe that does sound correct. That's already been approved by council.
You're gonna say that's what's been approved is 165 for contingencies, and this would be the first that the 19,320 would come out of that 165,000.
Yes, sir.
You're moving right along on the project then, with
They are making ground.
satisfied with all the quality of work and everything's been done.
To date, yes. Both of both myself and the city's inspector has been pleased. As, given that I'm fairly new to the city of Mount Pleasant, what I've experienced from Brian Capps, both in conversation and what I've heard from Patrick, it appears that the work is satisfactory.
Alrighty. Council, we have anything further? Floor is open for a motion.
I'll move the pay request for Ricker Construction, for work on the sport complex lift station.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilman Adams, second by Councilman Dale. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Motion, vote is unanimous. Thank you, Jake. We're gonna move on to the next one. I think he's gonna be staying with us for this one. Consider, and this is item 9, we'll close item 8. Consider pay request number 2 for SPI for work on downtown revitalization project.
Yes, sir. This has been submitted by SBI for their design services on the downtown revitalization project, the amount of $8,500. This is strictly for design services. This is finishing up. This project is already under construction. This does not have anything construction related in it. It's simply finishing up final design billings. Billings to date is around $68,000, which is around 80% of total. There's right at $17,000 or 20% left in this contract, and that is only that's for closeout of the project and as-builts, which will not be approved. There won't be another invoice on this one until we close out the project, basically. We found the estimate to be accurate and therefore recommend payment accordingly.
All right. Council, if we don't have any questions, we'll go ahead and open the floor for motion on this item.
Make a motion that we approve the pay request for $8,500 from SPI for work on the downtown revitalization project.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilwoman Sproul, second by Councilman Adams. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous. We'll now close item 9 on the agenda, and we'll move on to item 10. Item 10 is to consider pay request from Heritage Constructors, INC, for work on the Southside wastewater treatment plant.
Yes, sir. This is a pay estimate submitted by KSA on behalf of on behalf of Heritage General Contractors on the Southside wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $1,866,120.33. Original contract for this project is right around $40 million. Billings to date is totaling up to about 23% of total, and remaining in the contract obviously is around 76% of total. Total timeline on this project is 750 calendar days. To date, contractor has utilized 22% of time allocated for this contract. We have reviewed this amount. It includes mainly work on the outfall, and the outfall line is 24-inch line going out to the outfall structure, and also materials on hand. They're starting to really ramp up on a number of the structures out there. That's fixing to start really kicking off. We have reviewed the pay estimate and found it to be accurate, and therefore recommend payment accordingly.
Mayor, council might point out that the design engineer is represented here tonight by Lanny Buck, so if you have any questions for him, he could be glad, I'm sure, to come up and tell us his name and address and answer the question.
Council, do we have any questions? Floor is open for a motion.
Make a motion, authorize the pay request. The Contractors Inc. for the work on the Southside wastewater treatment plant that's been presented for the amount of $866,120.33.
I'll second the motion.
All right, I have a motion made by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Adams. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous. We'll now close that item on the agenda. We'll now move on to item 11. Item 11 is consider pay request from O&A Plastic Coatings and Paintings Corporation for work on the Highway 271 elevated storage tank rehabilitation.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this has been submitted by Lanny and Brittany on behalf of O&A Classic Coatings and Paintings Corporation in the amount of $45,010.10. This is a closeout. This is the completion of the project, and they have used the original contract amount was about $375,601. We have included for your we have included a deduct change order that does not require council approval. It removes $15,500 out of the contract. So this came in under budget. Adjusted contract amount is around $360, and the contract timeline was 150 calendar days. They came in right at 73% of this time, so it came in under budget and under timeline. In regards to closeout documents, KSA has submitted a contractor final payment affidavit. We have reviewed that and found that to be adequate. City has received the executed certificate of substantial completion. It marks a September 14th of 2023 as the starting of the warranty date, 1 year from that date for the city on this project. A final walkthrough was performed on that date. Punch list items were confirmed to be completed on October 12th of 2023, which established that warranty with the completion of those items. And the last document, city has received a contract work acceptance letter from KSA, from Lanny, detailing that the project has proceeded in accordance with contract and is appropriate, and the work is of quality. We have reviewed the pay estimate, final pay estimate, and found it to be accurate, and recommend payment accordingly and close out of contract.
Mayor and council, both on this item and the next item, the design engineers represented by Lanny Buck, if you have questions for him.
All right, thank you, Jake. Council, do we have any questions at this time? Floor is open for a motion.
I'll move pay request, O&A Classic Coatings, pay request $45,010.10.
I second the motion.
A motion made by Councilman Adams, second by Councilman Walker. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous. We'll now close that item on the agenda. Our next item, item 12, would be to consider pay request for, that's Eindhoven Oil Field System Service, INC, for work on Big Tex lift station improvements. Jake?
Yes, sir. I didn't know how to pronounce it at first either. Yes, this is a pay request number 3 submitted by KSA on behalf of Eindhoven Oilfield System Services on the Big Tex lift station in the amount for $67,730.95. Original contract was around $400,000 on this project. The remaining to date is around 60% of total. They're getting close to finalizing this out. Majority of this payment was in regards to some site work that they had on the lift station, and then purchasing of pumps that has been delayed. It's one of the reasons why we're going to talk about schedule here in a minute. But overall, the majority of this is on site work and those pumps. Contract timeline was 240 days. Per date of request, they've used 213% of contract time. Please note that this is due to material delays. This was not on behalf of the contractor, and this is also due to some complications that occurred in a wet well that required the purchase of additional pumps. This was not per the contractor or the design consultant. This was just due to material delays. Mainly because when the pumps that were purchased for this project, that were spec'd for this project, are flat pumps, and they are notorious for coming in with high lead times. We have reviewed the pay estimate and found it to be correct, and therefore recommend payment accordingly.
All right, council, do we have any questions on this item?
When you found the additional need, once they start the project, is it gonna push us over the budget with the additional pump issues and things that you found?
No, ma'am. This is not pushing over the budget. The original, no, it is not. It's being utilized in the another contingency item, and it's basically purchasing a brand new pump for around $6,500. That would normally be worth about, I think, around $45,000.
Do you have any further questions? Floor is open for a motion.
I'll make a motion for the pay request of the Oilfield Service Systems, Inc. has been presented on the Big Tech Lift Station.
I think.
All right, I have a motion made by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Adams. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous. We'll now close that item on the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
All right, we'll now move on to item 13. Item 13 is to consider resolution 2023-16 for voluntary annexation of a 7.644 acre tract of land that is adjacent to and adjoins the present boundary of the city of Mount Pleasant. David?
Yes, sir. Thank you once again, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council, Mr. Thatcher. The applicant, Lorne Kupion, came before staff a couple of months ago and was considering, she wanted water to her property, and for her to be out in the county, talk to her about annexation and it being a voluntary annexation. So she provided a letter that's in your packet requesting annexation. So this is a resolution that's coming before you tonight for the purpose of moving forward with annexation. And so if you vote to approve the resolution tonight, I have a list of items that would be needed and in a timely fashion for that, and that would be to a time for notice to be mailed, time for publication in the newspaper as well, and then also to come before you for actual adoption of an annexation ordinance. And with that, I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Mayor and council, you may be aware that in the last legislative session that it was passed by the legislature that the cities can no longer just annex based on what we think we need. We can only annex if the property owners request us to. So it pretty much puts an end to annexation unless, again, the people there want to be in. They have to be contiguous. We can't go up a road and then do a bunch. We have to be contiguous, but it has to be requested by the citizen. That always has made it easier to annex, as far as publications and public hearings and so forth. And I think the process is shorter because they provide a letter requesting it. So this is like the first time this has happened here.
What about the utilities and things? Aren't under the new legislation, aren't we required within a certain time limit to make sure if we accept their annexation request and it's approved, aren't we incumbent on us to have whatever available to them?
Yes, and so staff met with the property owner and went over the service agreement. There is a service agreement attached to the resolution that would also be attached to the ordinance. should you decide to move forward with this. And essentially, it would be all the services that are available for her. The only thing for that property, the only thing that would be delayed, and that's just by the service agreement, would be police service and fire, and that's 60 days. But upon annexation, all city services are available other than those two being for 60 days.
Is this property has access to sewer?
Sewer will not be available. She understands that, so that's not part of the service agreement. But if there is sewer available at some point in the future, then obviously that would be if she would like to have that, then we would extend that.
Isn't that where we're putting the sewer through from the park across?
I believe that's a force main, just a force main, so we wouldn't not be able to tie into that.
I did notice here on the dates and on the timeline, us not meeting on the 21st won't affect this at all. In fact, this will come to the council for a public hearing on the 5th, and then adoption also on the 5th. So the timeline for the publications and all will fall right into place.
Yes, sir. That's correct. It will not have any effect on this.
We do have water available there. She wants our water, so that.
So what does the north side of that road look like? Is her property gonna be the only piece of property, or so from the park east, that's where her property is located? But there's 2 or 3 tracks between that, and then there's a church on the corner there. And so, how many of those pieces of property are actually in there?
So she would be the first one between 12 Green Hill Road to the park area there. She would be the only one that would be associated with the city. The other 2 properties there, I understand, have water service. When you go west, have water service that were tied in some years ago. TriSud the church is under TriSud. Everything else west of that TriSud is not serving.
Is her property, the subject property, is that the one? Is she building a home on that right now?
Yes, sir. She is currently under construction.
So I'm sure I missed the clarity, but we don't have to put sewer there if they waive it. It's not mandatory by the state legislators that we have to do that?
No, I mean, there's a cost prohibitive. I mean, we'd ask them to pay for any extensions if they want sewer, and it's like, what'd you say, 600,000 for 1 or 2 houses or something?
And again, I don't mean to, but we don't, I thought if we accepted it, then it was incumbent on us to get them the services, whether that is, but if they don't agree to pay, we can still annex them. I just want to be clear on that.
I think what the new legislation says, if anybody's been annexed in the past and they don't have the services, they can request to be disannexed. And all of that hasn't been sorted out yet, because we got people that may be surrounded by the city but want out, and if the state's going to let them out, and so there's a donut hole or whatever, or they got some services or whatever. So how you disannex somebody and then say now you don't get any of the services, they're still trying to sort that out. But if there's people that's been annexed and then we didn't have a service plan, we didn't put anything in for them, and that's mostly water and sewer, they could be asked to be disannexed. Going forward, if they know about it and they waive that, then it's okay. But again, that they would be asked to pay some of the cost of hooking up, and $200,000 or $300,000 split by 2 houses is a lot.
David, is it in writing to these people now, since there is some legislative changes and they have to, is there something that gives them notice of the new legislation and their rights and our obligation with an annexation in place?
So with the annexation in place, I mean, as I indicated, if sewer were ever run that way, they had that option. And when my understanding is when they were building, they were putting in septic. She didn't request the sewer, but if it's available, then yes, she would be able to tie in at some point later on.
And I understand that. I just want to make sure that a year from now, they didn't come up and say, oh, the legislature said y'all have to bring a sewer, and put a problem on the city at that time.
Right, and I understand, yes, and so the service agreement that is in the pack, it will be the same one that'll go before the ordinance, and it excludes the sewer option in that, and so she was okay with that.
All right, we have any further questions? All right, floor is open for a motion.
I'll move the, resolution 2023-16.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made by Councilman Adams, second by Councilwoman Sproul. Madam Secretary, record a vote.
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous. Thank you, Dave. All right, we'll go ahead and close item 13 and move on to item 14, which is our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I have a couple of things. One is, we'll be closed this Friday to honor Veterans Day, and so we'll be closed this Friday. We also realized this year on Patriots Day, when it came up, that we don't observe that holiday, and everybody else in town does, the banks, the county, the post office. So we just want to let you know that that'll be coming forward for your consideration in the near future, before next September. And then Boots and Bells is a week from this Thursday. It's 16th of November, 5:30 to 8:30 at the Courthouse Square. And we want to get all the council on the stage at about a little before 5:30. We'll be getting more information to you. We just want to remind you that's the opening of our Christmas celebration. And if you have any questions, I'm glad to take them.
I might just add that our community lost one of our great leaders a little over a week ago. Mr. Robert Nance has sat here as our mayor pro tem for 26 years and served on our council for 40 years, passed away, and had his service last Saturday here in Mount Pleasant. And I served with him for a number of years, and Mr. Hensel's here, and Herman served with him for close to 100 years, I think. But Robert was a great leader for our community, and will be greatly missed, and we offer our condolences to the entire family and the community that's still grieving over his loss.
All right, thank you, Tim. We surely appreciate that. It was certainly a great loss. If we have any questions, more comment this time? Okay. All right, well, that will conclude our agenda items for today, and only thing left is open up the floor for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are now adjourned.